Hello, everybody. Alongside Don Helbig, I'm Ryan Stern. Welcome to the Pick Six, the podcast by the Attractions Group, where we bring you the latest and top stories from the attractions and amusement industry.
Well, before we delve into this week's Pick Six, let me remind our listeners where they can tune in to the Attractions Group podcast. You can catch us on all your favorite podcast apps, like us on Facebook, follow us on X, and subscribe to us on YouTube. So, Ryan, what's up first?
All right, so let's take story number one to play. So where are we heading first, Don? We are going to the new Thunderbolt roller coaster at Playland Amusement Park in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, is progressing and on pace to debut in July. The new electric launch coaster will feature trains that can accommodate up to 12 guests in 3 vehicles at once. With 1.3 G-forces of acceleration, the coaster will be Canada's fastest electric launch coaster. And I do love those launch coasters.
What I like, I mean, the design looks like it's a lot of fun, so it looks cool.
I agree. And, electric launch coasters, I assume it's LSM or LIM or something. And I like how that's such a thing now. Top Thrill 2 is becoming LSM. Big Bear Mountain is the first LIM coaster that they've built in quite a while. It's cool that they were able to make that efficient enough to make it marketable now. But love those launches, and it's 12 per car, so it'll be very forceful since it's not as much weight.
Have you ever been to Vancouver?
I've only been to Toronto in Canada. I've been to Ontario. Have you? You've worked for hockey, so of course you have.
It is beautiful in Vancouver. So if you ever get a chance to go to Vancouver, British Columbia, definitely do it. And while you're there, go to Playland Amusement Park.
July or later, though, because that's when the coaster opens. Don, where are we heading next?
Well, from April 19th to June 9th, Dollywood transforms into a captivating wonderland of vibrant blooms, delectable flavors, and lively entertainment, all under the backdrop of the stunning Smoky Mountains with its annual flower and food festival. This festival promises a feast for the eyes with over 1 million flowers, creating a breathtaking installations throughout the park.
One of my favorite seasons at Dollywood. I love topiaries because I'm old. And the one that I have on the screen for you audio listeners is the Coat of Many Colors one, which is Dolly's mother assembling a coat out of old blankets and rags and stuff, as the song predicts. And that's probably my favorite topiary, better than anything Disney has or anything. But that's why I chose that photo that you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get down there in a couple of weeks. I have right now my calendar, April 29th is the date that I'm going to go, but really looking forward to it. You said as we're getting older and that we tend to appreciate things like this a lot more. It's not just all about, the thrill rides and everything. There's a lot more to enjoy at the amusement parks and theme parks.
I agree. And I see that as a positive because it means I'm enjoying more things. I remember the first time I went to Dollywood in like 2013 or so. So I was a little bit younger. I didn't do anything Dolly Parton related. And I remember leaving thinking, like, what does that park have to do with Dolly Parton? Now it's like not a lot has changed. I mean, obviously the Dolly Parton experience is going to change, but now it's like I can't dissociate Dollywood with Dolly Parton because I'm not actively ignoring it for the rides.
Yeah, and if you're a foodie, this is the event to go to.
Yeah. What would they have? It was like nachos or something like that. Their menu is pretty dynamic, so I don't want to like plug a certain item because it could be gone. But I think I remember nachos that was like in that area before you can either go to like Timber Canyon or go up the hill. It was at one of those places, but it was pretty good. Anyway, moving along. So let's head to Universal Orlando, Islands of Adventure. So Universal Orlando has unveiled an exciting new merchandise collection to commemorate the forthcoming 25th anniversary of Islands of Adventure. The lineup includes a tee, sweatshirt, drink tumbler, and limited edition pin, with additional items anticipated for release soon. Each piece showcases a nostalgic 90s aesthetic, including iconic elements from each original island, including a nod to Dueling Dragons. A special 25th anniversary emblem adorns every item in the collection. You can discover this exclusive merchandise at the Universal Studios store in City Walk and select stores within Islands of Adventure. Please note that these items will not be available for online purchase. So, which means you got to show up and buy it, or you can have a friend that lives down there and might work in merchandise and might have them pick this up for you.
It looks like a really, good assortment of anniversary merchandise. I like it when parks commemorate their anniversary years with a line of merchandise. I like the fact that, they want you to go there to purchase it. I think, like for me, the nod to Dueling Dragons, I like that they're paying tribute to that. A lot of parks try to shy away from attractions that are no longer there. They try to pretend it's not part of their history anymore. Those kind of things, like erase it like it never existed. I like the way that they're doing that. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited about this line of merchandise.
Yeah, and this is not the first time that they've paid tribute to Dueling Dragons, as we've discussed and at length. They had the Dueling Dragons house for Halloween Horror Nights too, in which was a beautiful tribute. You're in the middle of this fire versus ice thing. It was awesome. So, don't revere the past, honor the past, blah, blah, blah. This is pretty cool. I've been really into park anniversaries ever since Cedar Point's 150th. And then obviously Kings Island's, where you just really knocked it out of the park. So I still get excited for stuff like this.
I do too.
Barely missed the Disney World 50th, but I did catch many times the 100th anniversary of the Disney company. So they had their own merchandise for that too. Moving right along.
Well, when summer arrives, cooling off in the water becomes a natural choice. And in Northeast Ohio, you can easily find relief as Swim Outlet recently named Cedar Point Shores the best water park in the U.S. with a score of 9.2 out of 10. Predictions suggest that's going to be a very popular spot this season, given its high Google search volume. Now, that's important, those Google search rankings. So the top 5 water parks, number 1, Cedar Point Shores at Cedar Point Sandusky. Disney's Typhoon Lagoon, Walt Disney World. Number 3, Schlitterbahn Water Park, New Braunfels, and that's in Texas. Number 4 was Aquatica Orlando. And number 5, Water Country USA, Williamsburg, Virginia. Now, these rankings are based on a combination of things: ticket prices, visitor ratings, the attractions, the amenities, Google searches, and additional activities. Now, Cedar Point Shores stood out again with that 9.2 rating, while the lowest ranked park was Six Flags Hurricane Harbor in Phoenix with just 1.7.
Standalone park too. Yeah, so it's kind of an honor for Cedar Point Shores to be on this short list here. To be ranked number 1 is pretty awesome.
That's huge.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's huge that they're number 1. I mean, it's. I think that's, when you think of Cedar Point, you think of, obviously the roller coasters, the Millennium Force, Steel Vengeance. You got, Top Thrill 2. All the attention's on the roller coasters. But, this water park that they have there, it doesn't take a back seat to the coasters. I mean, it is every bit as good for the aquatic fans, the aquatic enthusiasts, every bit as good as the coasters at the park. It's, just something that doesn't get a lot of attention. It's not talked about a lot, but those that have experienced it, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that their combo wave pool / lazy river is the coolest innovation in water parks. I think that's so fun. Every time we make a trip, we make it a point to at least hop in to ride that. So if you're listening, or if you're watching on YouTube, tweet at us at attractions_GRP or leave a comment on the YouTube video. Let us know what you think your favorite water park is. Is it one of these 5? Cedar Point Shores, Typhoon Lagoon, Schlitterbahn, New Braunfels, Aquatica, or Water Country, or is it something else? Personally, by the way, I think my favorite water park on this list is Aquatica. They've got a lazy river that's so powerful that they don't let tubes in it. You just go in it and it just drags you around. I thought that was fun, but I haven't been there for years.
Mine's Typhoon Lagoon on this list, but like I said, Cedar Point's is, it's right there with it.
I didn't think I would like Cedar Points. I thought it would, because water parks to me, from the outside looking in are so generic. And then when you actually do them, it's like a lot of them have a lot of personality. And Cedar Point Shores is certainly like that, where, you ride Magnum and you can see it and it's like, yeah, it's a water park. But there's a lot of fun to be had in that water park. But sticking with Cedar Point, so some kind of bummer news. Midnight Syndicate, renowned for their haunting soundtracks at global haunt attractions, announced they won't be returning to Cedar Point in 2024 for the Halloween weekend season. Since 2014, their live stage shows have drawn eager crowds, first at the Good Time Theater and later on at the Jack Outridge Theater. In 2023, Cedar Point moved their show to the Celebration Plaza, making it the first outdoor performance of theirs. This change opens doors for Midnight Syndicate, potentially securing contracts with other Halloween-themed amusement parks, like Universal Studios, perhaps. As Cedar Fair diminishes live entertainment, they risk losing appeal. But, another park could capitalize by adding Midnight Syndicate to their lineup. So the real question here is, did they cut this as a budgetary thing, or did they cut this because they have something else in mind? That's what we don't know yet.
We don't know yet. But it is disheartening. And when you think of how the weekends at Cedar Point and the entertainment staple, Midnight Syndicate. So, like I said, disheartening to see. But we have to wait and see what the lineup is when the fall comes around. Because like you said, we don't know if something else is being added to replace it.
Right. I saw Midnight Syndicate not this past year, but the year before in the Jack Outridge Theater. And, it started off with them playing, their electronica music. And, I'd always heard like this big rage about it and how cool it was and stuff. And I was like, this is cool, but I don't kind of get it. Then they got into the show element, whereas like they had like the lights would cut and then the people in the band would be throughout the theater. And it was just so neat. So if they replace it with something else, I hope it's something pretty special like that. All right, moving along.
And our final item, the pick six, Kings Island kicks off its 53rd season this Saturday. Although the new Camp Snoopy area won't be open until late spring, there are plenty of favorites awaiting guests. This year, 4 iconic roller coasters are celebrating milestones. You got the Beast turning 45 and Vertigo 25, Diamondback 15, and Banshee 10. And to mark these anniversaries, card packs will be given away to the first 750 riders on each of these coasters. These cards showcase current and former rides, along with key moments from Kings Island's rich history. But again, you got to be one of those first 750 riders on each of these coasters to get the card pack.
Yeah, they mentioned that a limited number of them will be available in the shops. I'm not interested in getting into a rat race with a bunch of like 16, 17-year-olds to get to the Beast early enough to get these things, but I would buy them. I think they'd be cool to have. I'd be willing to fork out money before, being 100 the first 750, blah, blah, blah. But this is a cool thing, and I'm glad they're doing something to commemorate these anniversaries.
Yeah, it is cool. It, collector's items. It'll be fun to see if there's anybody in the midways, making any card swaps, trading those cards and things. So, yeah. But again, Kings Island kicking off the season officially this Saturday.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, very, very nice. So let's move on to the listener question. And Don, why don't you take the first one?
Well, it's from Susan Martin. She said, enjoyed the live Tower Topics podcast. That's our other podcast that Ryan and I do. She said, will you be doing a live broadcast for the Attractions Group podcast? Great question, Susan. Something that we'd like to do. I think we'd have to do it differently, though, Ryan, don't you, than we did with Tower Topics?
Yeah, I feel like it would be a bunch of people asking us Kings Island questions. So I have something in mind, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
I mean, I'd like to do it. I think it'd be fun. It's just trying to figure out the format for a live that's going to work. With the Tower Topics one, we were able to have a panel of Kings Island enthusiasts joining us. So, who we'd be able to get to be like, do we need a panel to be able to do that with the Attractions Group podcast? I think having more than just you and I on there for a live and going around, the horn and letting everybody give their thoughts on the different topics that come up, the questions that we receive from the audience. I think that would be important to have more than just you and I on there.
I agree, and this is what I have, and this is actually spitting this idea live on. Well, we're recording this, but live on the show. I think we should have a guest with us, and it would be somebody that I'm not saying like the president of IAPA or something like that, but somebody that would be a good person where they would have questions for. And I'm thinking like somebody like Jeff Pike from Skyline Attractions, have him on, and then he can field questions about being a roller coaster engineer or something like that. That's the kind of live I would want to do.
Yeah, that's the direction we'd have to go. I think would be the right way to do it. And kind of taking that concept that we do when we're asking them the questions, but flipping it and letting the guests be the ones, the audience be the ones that ask those questions.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for the question, Susan. We'll keep that in mind. That's definitely a topic of discussion. If you enjoyed the Tower Topics one, I will tell you that we were very blown away by all the participation and all the people watching. I was hopeful that it would be successful. It was about 10 times more than I was hoping for. So thank you so much. More to come with that. Definitely more lives with Tower Topics, and we'll come up with something for Attractions Group. But we've got another listener question. David Mag said, what's your favorite Six Flags park? Don, what's your favorite Six Flags park?
Well, that's a great question. There's things I like about the different parks, but if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with Six Flags over Georgia, because that was the first Six Flags park that I visited. So a lot of memories there. I made it a point in the 1980s to get to Six Flags over Georgia every single year. And I continued that tradition into the 90s. So there's a lot, like I said, the memories there for me would make it number one. But, there's other Six Flags parks too that I really like. I mean, operation, wise, just, the things to do, how the park looks, Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, the food, the different events that they have, that's up there on the list. Six Flags Great America outside of Chicago. I had a season pass to that park late 80s into the 90s, so I would frequent that park a lot. So some good memories there. And the sleeper one for me is Six Flags over St. Louis. Enjoyed my experience there, the few times that I've been to that park. So those are the ones that come top of mind. But I'm somebody that the first time, like the first roller coaster for me was the Racer. Is it the best roller coaster I've ever been on? No. But if someone said, what's your favorite? It's my favorite just because, the memories of being that first coaster I ever did. So I go with Six Flags over Georgia just because it was the first Six Flags park that I visited. Now, what about for you, Ryan?
Okay. So I've been to a lot of parks. The only Six Flags park I've ever been to was when Kentucky Kingdom was Six Flags. So I would say absolutely hands down, my favorite Six Flags park I've ever been to is Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom. And it's actually no competition. I got to make it out. But I've been to a ton of parks. I just haven't made it to the Six Flags parks. But I visit Kings Island a lot, and if things go the way they want, around June I'll be visiting a Six Flags park pretty often. So
yeah, I was going to say this could have been like a trick question for us, in a roundabout way there. But we appreciate the question, David.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, that wraps up another Pick Six, but make sure that you follow us on all your favorite podcast apps, Apple, Google, Spotify, you know the drill. Subscribe on YouTube so you can follow us for our lives. Just search for the Attractions Group podcast or Tower Topics if you prefer those live chats about Kings Island. And follow us on X/Twitter at attractions_GRP. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll see you next week with some more Attractions Group podcast. Well, thanks to Jessica for being on the show, but let's move on to the listener question. The listener question this week is from Sharon B. She said, Don, I really enjoy reading your blog articles, especially the ones about Kings Island. The article